Hi everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to my channel. If you are new here or watching this in a few years' time, it is January the 1st of 2026 and I have a little channel which I thought was going to be all about plants. You can see I have plants all around me. I love plants, but has actually turned into a little bit of a GLP1 channel. Well, at least I've been describing my journey with GLP1 medication on this channel, but I am going to get back to plants pretty soon. That was the reason for me setting up the channel in the first place, and plants is my hobby that I love a lot, so I will get back to that. But I thought January 1 means that I've now been on GLP1 medications for 3 years, and I thought I would just come on and have a chat about how I've gone over the last 3 years. Spoiler, very well. And what I think are some of the best things about being on a GLP1. Not too many negatives for me, but just have a general chat about where I am 3 years down the track and where I see myself going in the future. So, to start with, 3 years ago, I was not at my heaviest ever, but I was quite heavy at 94.6 kilograms, which I think is about 209 pounds for the Americans who might be watching. And I had been up to 105 kilograms years ago. That was my heaviest I've ever been. But I've struggled with my weight my whole life, and until I found GLP-1s, nothing ever worked long term. I've been on a diet since I was 5, I think. My mother was always very worried about my weight, as was I. At times I sort of decided to give up and I didn't care, and I gained weight, and the relationship with my family was a bit fractious at times because of my weight. Because they were so worried about me. But I was worried about me too, and having them worried about me at the same time was a bit hard. But anyway, I've been on a diet since I was about the age of 5. I dieted and exercised to lose weight. I used to fast. I used to binge and purge, which was not healthy. Eventually, I also tried diet medications like Germine, which is basically speed, and other medications like Orlistat, which I can't remember what the actual name of it is, but that's the one that if you eat any fatty foods, you get very oily diarrhea, which isn't very pleasant. And none of that worked. So eventually I went down the surgery route because there weren't any medications that were offering the likelihood of long-term success at that time. So in 2007, I had a lap band put in, and the lap band worked for about 7 or 8 years. And then until it didn't. And I did lose weight with the lap band at first, but it wasn't really a healthy way for me to lose weight. And I did learn how to cheat with the lap band. And so I lost weight initially and then started to put it on. So I had the lap band tightened even more. And those of you who've had a lap band will know that you can tighten it so much that you can really only fit liquid down, and you end up vomiting a lot. And I ended up with a corrugated esophagus in hospital, and they had to take the lap band out. So once they did that, they told me that I would put on the weight really, really quickly, and I did. I had a gastric sleeve then, which is where they take out half your stomach. And that really was never very successful for me. Yes, I couldn't eat a lot as much in a sitting because I only had a small stomach. But that didn't mean that I couldn't eat and graze regularly and still get in a lot of calories in the day. So I had that in 2015 and lost a little bit of weight, but really didn't lose very much. And then slowly started to pack on the weight again until I reached 94.6 kilos. And at that time, I had heard about GLP1 medications. The big fuss was about Ozempic. And at the time, it was, everybody's stealing the medication from the from the diabetics, and the diabetics need it, and Hollywood people are taking it, and other people who are just fat are taking it, and they don't deserve to be able to take it, and all sorts of rubbish like that was going on. I decided to do some research into the medications because I thought to myself, this is my last gasp. If I were to decide to go on one of these and it didn't work, then I would absolutely just give up trying to get down to a healthy weight. And I was sort of at the end of my tether. So I did a lot of research and found out that the medications had been around for quite a while, and that they used to be a daily injection, which was Saxenda for dieting, which I actually went on at first, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And then they came out with Ozempic, but then they came out with another drug called Mounjaro, a rival to Novo Nordisk, who produces Ozempic, came out with Mounjaro. Eli Lilly is that company. And Eli Lilly at the time was doing some heavy marketing in America. And of course, marketing is, I'm in Australia, and you're not allowed to advertise drugs on TV or anything here. So there wasn't a lot of, actually pretty much wasn't any real knowledge of Mounjaro here. And it actually wasn't even out here in 2022, I think, end of 2022 when I was doing my research. So I decided that it was worth a try because it seemed to have an effect not only on your stomach but also on your brain, and people were saying that they didn't feel hungry on it, and they didn't feel like food was the most important thing in their life. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to try it. At the time, as I said, Mounjaro was not out in Australia. Ozempic was in chronic shortage in Australia, and was out for a lot of the time. When I decided to go on it, they were sort of saying it will be out for the next 9 months and we won't be able to get it. But Saxenda was available, and Saxenda is a daily injection. So anyway, I called my GP, who had been with me through a lot of my struggles with my weight, and also with another problem that I have, which is chronic migraine syndrome. So with my migraines, I see a neurologist for that. And some of the drugs that I was on for that have a tendency to get people to put on weight. So that wasn't helping my weight gain. But it was sort of, do I go off those drugs and be able to lose weight more easily, but not have a life and be in pain every day, or do I take the drugs and the pain is just the pain goes away, but then I'll have the pain of being overweight and unhealthy, that really wasn't much of a choice for me. So anyway, I called my GP and said, look, what have you heard about these GLP-1s? I'm interested in taking one. And I told him about all the research that I'd done. He hadn't really had many patients on it, if any, I don't think, at the time. And he said to me, well, if you want to try it, go ahead and try it. Because he knew that I had done the research. I knew what I was getting myself in for. And he knew how damaging it was for me to be overweight at that level. So he prescribed it for me quite willingly. And I went on Saxenda, and I took my first injection on the 31st of December of 2022. So leading into 2023, I thought, this is going to start my new life. And within the first 2 days of taking the Saxenda is a daily injection. Within the first 2 days, I don't know whether it was psychosomatic or whether it was something that, or whether it was the actual drug in that small dose working at the time. But the food noise went away, and I felt like not that I wasn't hungry, but just that I was sort of like, it was just meh. Do you really want to eat? And you just sort of thought to yourself, oh, well, no, I can't really be bothered. And for somebody who had been addicted to food and had binged and purged, and had eaten every scrap off their plate their entire life, the thought of not focusing on food 24 hours a day, and thinking as you ate your lunch what you were eating for dinner, and as you ate your dinner what you could eat after that, um, and having far too big portions of healthy food, but just far too big portions because you were always hungry. The change in my brain that meant that I wasn't hungry was extraordinary to me. Um, Saxenda is a slow burn, in my opinion. You can lose weight on it, but it takes a while for the weight to come off. It may just be that um, my body was in such a state of chronic yo-yo dieting that it was just holding on to the weight. But it took me 6 months to lose the first 10 kilos. And I was thrilled about that 10 kilos. And I had hoped that I would be able to move on to Ozempic and then Mounjaro at some point. But I was quite happy taking the Saxenda daily. The daily injection was kind of a reminder for me to actually not eat unhealthily. So in a way, it's a good thing that you're taking a daily injection. But some people I know take the daily injection and then decide, oh, well, I want to go out to dinner tonight, so I won't have it that night, that day. And that sort of defeats the purpose, in my opinion, which is why personally I think that the weekly injection is actually a better thing for people who, like me, are focused on food and eating all the time. It depends the type of person you are, really. I was always conscious of my weight my whole life and was always conscious of the calories of everything I was putting in my body. I didn't eat a lot of fast food. My mother fed us healthy homemade food. She was an old-fashioned mother who brought us up, and she was the mother, and we had dinner on the table every night, and it was a full meal, and we all sat down together and did all the things that you're supposed to do. I have two brothers who do not have a weight problem and never had a weight problem. My mother, she's put on a little bit of weight now that she's older, but she was always very skinny and she never really had a weight problem. My father, however, had a weight problem. He's now skinny and people are actually trying to feed him up, but which is a strange thing for him and a strange thing for me as well, because people are now saying, don't lose any more weight, Gab. You don't want to, lose weight. You don't want to get too skinny, and that's just unheard of for me because my whole life I was always thinking to myself, oh, you're going to need to lose weight, and fighting the battle of the bulge and all that sort of stuff. So my dad and I were sort of the twins who had the weight problem in the family. But as I said, we didn't eat a lot of fast food. We didn't eat a lot of junk. My mom didn't have cookies and cakes in the house and lollies or candies and things. She wasn't that kind of a mother. She was very health conscious. And of course, my father was always dieting and I was always dieting. So we had salads and, lots of fresh meat and things, good food. My problem was I was always hungry, always. And I always thought to myself, can I eat more? How can I eat more? What else can I have? Anyway, so went on the Saxenda for the first 6 months, lost 10 kilos. Then halfway through 2023, Ozempic became available again. So I called my GP and I said, I've just heard Ozempic's back in. I'd like to switch to it. He said, okay, no problem. So I switched to Ozempic, which was markedly stronger for me. It was a week one injection per week rather than an injection per day. And Ozempic for me was terrific. It was so much better than the Saxenda. I felt much more like even more so, I didn't have any food noise, and I would have a few bites of something to eat and easily be able to push my plate away and just go, I can't really be bothered anymore. Even things like alcohol, even with the Saxenda, I felt the same thing with alcohol, but with the Ozempic, it was stronger. And I'd have sort of a glass of wine, and whereas before I would have been reaching for the bottle and having another two or three, I found that a glass of wine and I didn't really want any more. I just would go, oh, can't really be bothered. It did not cure my love of Diet Coke, and nothing will ever cure my love of Diet Coke. And I will be drinking that until the day I die. And I don't care that it's got chemicals in it and that it's got aspartame in it. I will never give up my Diet Coke. I love it. I still drink a few a day. Got one right here. This is my nectar of the gods. And it has no calories, and it provides liquid for me, and it also, importantly for me with my migraines, it provides caffeine. I have to keep everything in my life has to be kept in stasis from my migraines, so I have to have my caffeine levels even, my hormone levels have to be even, I have to be hydrated, and I have to stay away from triggers and things from my migraines. So the Diet Coke is something that I will have forever, and I love it. But anyway, alcohol, I didn't feel like drinking very much, which was fantastic. So went on the Ozempic. In the next 4 months, I lost another 10 kilos, so that's 20 kilos altogether. And then Ozempic went out of stock again, and they said it wasn't going to be in stock until well into 2024. And I like hundreds of thousands or millions of people around the world, I suppose, but like thousands of Australians nearly had a heart attack thinking to themselves, what am I going to do now? I was planning on going back on the Saxenda. So when I finished my last pen and I couldn't find Ozempic anywhere, and I called at least 100 chemist shops. I live in Sydney in Australia, which is a big city, and I called people right around the country trying to find my Ozempic. And it got so bad. I feel sorry for the chemists in a way, but it got so bad that the chemists actually just started hanging up on people. So you'd call and you'd say, hi, I was just wondering, have you got any Ozempic? Click! Before you could even get the word Ozempic out, they would just hang up some of them because some others who were nicer told me that I was the 100th person who had called that day, and that everybody was after it and that nobody was going to be able to get it. So, c'est la vie. That was a problem. But then on my 101st phone call, when I had just about given up and I had actually bought a repeat of Saxenda, which I think at the time was about $459. I called up a chemist shop in a well-to-do suburb in Sydney, and I said, look, I know you probably don't, but by any chance, do you have any Ozempic? I have a script for both of the pens. In Australia, we only got 2 sizes of the pens released here, where we work a bit differently to the way it works in the States and in other countries, because we have universal health care here. Not that any weight loss drug is on the what we call the pharmaceutical benefit scheme, which means that it's subsidized. So you pay full freight for weight loss drugs here in Australia, although they're trying to get them on the PBS, which would mean we would get a vast amount of discount, which would be lovely, but it's so worth it to be on them that whatever it costs, I would sell my left kidney in order to remain on these drugs. But when I called this guy, he said, no, look, I'm really sorry. Everyone's calling me. I don't have it. And he said, but you know what? I got a new drug in this morning, and a new weight loss drug from a different company in this morning. And my heart started pitter-pattering, and I sort of was like, what drug is it? And he said, oh, I don't remember what it's called. And I said, is it by any chance Mounjaro? And he said, yes, I think that's it. He said, just let me go and check. And he walked out to his to the back of his shop while I was on the phone. And he said, yeah, that's what it is. It's Mounjaro. And I sort of said, how much have you got? And he said, I've got a box of it here. And not knowing what that meant, I said, please put it on hold for me. I will get a script from my GP and I will be down to pick it up as soon as possible. So anyway, he said, yeah, no problem whatsoever. And he, at the time, didn't know much about the drug. So anyway, I immediately called my GP's office and said to the receptionist, I need to speak to my GP. I won't mention his name, but I need to speak to my GP urgently. The Mounjaro's just come on the market and I need a script for it quickly. So he called me back. It all worked out this day because sometimes, they're very, very busy and they can't call you back. But he called me back in about 3 hours and we had a chat, and he didn't know anything about the dosing regimen or anything about Mounjaro. I had, of course, done my research on it and knew that was they called it the King Kong of GLP1s. But I knew that was the one that I eventually wanted to go on when it came out in Australia. And so I think it was October of 2023 that it was released here, and I snapped it up and injected it. It came in vials at the time. So luckily I had a little bit of experience with injecting drugs and drawing drugs up from a needle and then injecting them because I had a dog that needed injections. And I also used to give my cats their vaccinations. So I was familiar with needles, and I gave myself the shot that very night when I picked it up, and it was amazing. I felt great. I didn't have any of the side effects that some people have. Some people have terrible stomach pains. And the only thing that I've had, which I've had two things I've had, two side effects I've had. One is that I have a bit of a dry mouth, but a lot of my other medications that I'm on also give you a dry mouth. So I don't know whether that's the Mounjaro or the Ozempic or the GLP1 in general, or if it's just the combination of medications that I'm on. But a dry mouth, which I fix by sipping on things, and also I chew a lot of gum. And the other thing that I had was constipation, and that was the worst part of it for me. I would occasionally, and again, I'm not sure whether this is my migraine syndrome or Mounjaro or GLP1s, but I would occasionally feel a bit nauseous. But I had a drug called Zofran for my migraines for when I felt nauseous. So I would just take one of those, and within half an hour, I would feel better. So again, not sure whether it was the GLP1 or the migraines that were giving me vertigo, but I would get dizzy with that. But the big thing for me was constipation. And I fixed that by cleaning myself out once a week. So once a week I would take some laxatives. I used to take Dulcolax, and I would just clean myself out. And then slowly I would build up over the next week and do it all again. And it was wonderful. Well, that wasn't wonderful. That wasn't bad. But the drug itself, the Mounjaro, was fantastic. And I ended up losing another 14 kilograms on in the next, say, 15, in the next 7 months, I lost about another 15 kilos. So if you're counting, that is now 35 kilos. Since then, I have lost another couple of kilos, and I now vacillate between 57 and 59 kilograms, which is, oh God, I don't know what it is, about 130 pounds, I think, something like that. So 37 kilograms altogether I lost, and it has made me much healthier, much happier. I love my new body. even though I've got wrinkly bits, because I do have a bit of excess skin. But I've exercised the whole way through, and I do Pilates for my exercise, and I've actually got muscles now that are showing. I did Pilates before as well, but the muscles were all surrounded by layers of fat, but now they're not. So now I have nice little muscles in my arms and things, but I do have a little bit of excess skin. But I turned 57 on the 14th of December. So, you know, a little bit of excess skin is not unusual at my age, and wrinkles are not unusual at my age. So it was all very much worth it. I think that anyone thinking about going on a GLP1, if you really want to lose weight and you can't do it any other way, there is no shame in it. I tell everybody that I lost the weight this way, and I'm very open about it. Obviously, I'm making videos about it, but I'm very open about it with people at work and people in my personal life. I don't see the point in trying to hide it. The difference in the way I look is massive. If you go onto my my channel, if you look at some of the other videos on my channel, if you've just come across this video and you haven't seen me before, I've got a short video on the 20-month transformation from 94 kilos to 59 kilos, I think it was when I made it. And the difference is quite stark. So people who see me, some people who see me said, "Are you okay? Are you sick? Have you had cancer?" Because the weight loss has been that dramatic that they just can't believe that it's me, which is nice and fun, and I'm enjoying having a new slim body. I'm also enjoying the fact that I don't have the food noise anymore, which means I can concentrate on other things in my life, and it's such a freedom to not have to think about food 24 hours a day. It's wonderful. And I'm so blessed to have found this medication. And thank you to all the researchers who researched for years and years and years to give us this medication. I'm so incredibly grateful to you. I only wish that this had been around 50 years ago, and because my life would have been very, very different had I had this medication as a young person and not had the battle of trying to be thin in a thin world, but inhabiting a body with a mind that told me I was hungry constantly. But anyway, this is not meant to be a sad video. This is just an update on where I am now. And I am in a great place. I'm very happy. This January 1st, 2026 finds me in a new apartment because I had to move out of my old one. And it's turned out that I was in my old apartment for 10 years. And then I was told that they were selling it, so I had to move out. So I quickly found another place, and it turns out that this new place I've got is actually fantastic, and I love it. I just hope I can stay here for a while. And I'm going to do it up and make it my home. It's slowly coming together. There's a lot of work to do here. But yeah, 2026 hopefully will be a fantastic year for me. I intend to stay on the medication for the rest of my life. I was on 5 milligrams of Mounjaro, but a few months ago I upped it to 7.5, which is not the usual way that people go with these medications. I do know that. But if you are thinking that you've reached your happy point where you don't want to lose any more weight, and you are thinking about potentially tapering off or lowering the medication down, you do you. Be happy with where you are and what you do. You don't have to get thin. Some people don't want to lose too much weight. I wanted to be as fit as possible going into my old age because I have arthritis, and the more weight you have on, the more difficult it is with arthritis and things. One thing about Mounjaro, it does reduce inflammation in your body. And that helps with your arthritis, of course, because arthritis is an inflammatory condition. But also just being lighter means that every step I take, I'm not pounding huge amounts of pressure on my hip, because I do have an arthritic hip. And I don't have the kind of pain that I had walking now that I've lost the 37 kilos, which is fantastic. So what was I talking about? I was saying that, that most people think about either extending out the timing of their shots, so to maybe 10 days or 2 weeks rather than taking a shot every 7 days. And then people also think to themselves, oh, well, I'll go down to a maintenance dose and see how I go with that. I thought at first that that's what I would do because that's what everybody else was saying that they were doing. So I tried to, first of all, after the 15 months, I tried to, first of all, stretch out my drugs to 10 days. And I got to 9 days and then chickened out. And that was definitely a psychosomatic thing. I was terrified of the food noise coming back. And I was terrified that I would gain the weight back like I had done every other time before. 3 years in, I'm now pretty confident I will not gain the weight back as long as I can remain on the medication. But when I did it at first, it was a scary prospect because the weight loss was so new, and I decided that I would remain on the 5 milligrams, which was all I went up to, because I had lost. People sort of say, "Oh, you were only on 5 milligrams," and because I had lost weight with Saxenda and lost weight with Ozempic, I was well and truly in the GLP1 mindset and in the food mindset of not having the food noise and having eaten much smaller amounts. I now eat about a third of what I used to eat. And I now eat more than I did when I was losing too. When I was losing, I ate about 1,000 calories a day. And people said to me, oh, that's not enough calories and all this sort of stuff. Rubbish, because I'm perfectly healthy. And I ate about 1,000 calories a day for, a good 15 months, 2 years. Now I have probably about 1,200 calories a day. I have a very sedentary job. I sit on my ass all day in front of computer screens. So my body doesn't actually expend a lot of energy in a day. So I actually just don't need that many calories. Plus, I think years and years of dieting and my genetic makeup means that my body is incredibly efficient at extracting every single calorie out of every morsel of food that I eat. So I think that there are a lot of other people like me who've dieted for their whole lives who will need to drop their calories down. One of the things, I've been on all the chat groups and things, I've kind of gone away from them now, but I used to spend a lot of time talking to other people who were on GLP-1s and going through this journey. And when they would sort of say, oh, stop losing weight, I would say, have you tried dropping your calories? And they're like, oh, I'm only eating 1,500 calories a day. I'd be like, God, if I ate 1,500 calories a day, I'd be packing on the weight. And they would say to me, oh, you're not eating enough and it's not healthy and you'll lose too much protein. You'll lose muscle fiber, etc., if you don't have enough protein and stuff. I'm here 3 years in, healthy. I have lost a little bit of muscle. You will lose a bit of muscle. Mostly I've lost the fat that was contained within the muscle, so I guess marbling and stuff. My calves are much, much smaller. They're about half the size that they were. I had massive calf muscles, and those have shrunk, and I'm very happy they've shrunk because I can now wear knee-high boots, and I could never wear knee-high boots before. And my thighs have gone down. I used to have, again, big thighs. They've gone down. The muscle's gone a little bit. But because I did the Pilates and because I'd been doing the Pilates for 10 years before I started, and I'd always been a fitness person. I mean, when I was young and trying to manage my weight, um, and doing the binging and purging, I would go to the gym 8 times a week. And I used to run 5.5 kilometers a day at one stage. I did a lot of exercise when I was younger. I had big muscles because of that, and also because of my genetic makeup. The eating massive amounts of protein wasn't good for my kidneys. So I had to be careful with how much protein I ate. But I managed to eat enough protein that I'm pretty healthy. I don't have a problem with huge amounts of muscle loss. I didn't have any hair loss other than just the aging hair loss, which I was already having. And most other things in my life are pretty healthy now, which is great. I think that probably will do me for this update. I think I'm going on 40 minutes now. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I intend to stay on this medication for the rest of my life. Oh, that's right. I was going to talk to you about the dosage. So I only went up to 5 milligrams on Mounjaro. I actually skipped the 2.5 because I had been on the Ozempic at the top dose. So I went directly to 2.5, loved it, didn't feel a need to go up. When I went into maintenance, I, as I said, tried to stretch the shots out a little bit, then got scared. So I decided, well, look, for the next few months at least, I'll just remain on the 5 milligrams, and I will just make a conscious effort to eat more calories. So I'd stop losing weight, and that's what I did. And I did that for, about a year. And then a few months ago, I started to get a little bit of food noise back. And I thought to myself, this is not great. I would not be happy if the drug stopped working. But I had the potential to go up in a dose because I was only on the 5 milligram. And that's what I did. I actually went up to 7.5 milligrams, and that's what I'm on now. And the food noise again went away, which is fantastic. And I eat whatever I want to eat, just small amounts of it. I can now have a dessert and not feel guilty and not worry about it and not have to eat 5 desserts. I can just eat 1. And I will remain on the 7.5 forever if I can. If I have to go up, I've still got a number of doses that I can go up in the future. Excuse me. So my plan is to stay on this medication for the rest of my life and to stay thin for the rest of my life. As I said, food is no longer really a priority in my life. I do go out to dinner with people, but I find that difficult because I don't really want to eat very much. But nothing tastes as good as being thin, which a friend of mine said to me years and years and years ago. She was thin, but she worked at it. She really, really worked at it. But she was very fit and very thin, and that was her attitude: was nothing tastes as good as feeling thin. I couldn't imagine the thought of being able to not think about food all the time and not want to eat all the time. And now I know exactly how she felt, and how other naturally thin people feel. So it is a wonderful thing that this medication has given me. It's a real gift that I've been given, and I intend to make most of it. So that's it for this update. As I said, ask any questions that you might have. I'm happy to answer them about anything. And I hope that if you are thinking about taking a medication like this, my story is only one of millions around the world, but my story is a good one, and it's a success story. And while some people can't take the medication because it doesn't agree with them, and that's every medication in the world. My experience with the medication is that it's been life-changing, and I love it. And even though it costs a lot of money, I actually save a lot of money because, as I said, I'm eating a third of the food that I used to eat. And I don't drink a lot of alcohol anymore. So I used to order in cases of wine and Prosecco and things. Don't do that anymore. I haven't ordered a case of wine in, God, 2 years. I'll occasionally buy something, and I'll occasionally open something in my wine cellar that I have, or my wine collection. I've got a wine rack that I used to regularly top up, and I've very slowly been emptying it over the last year because I very rarely have a drink. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. Over this Christmas, my birthday is on the 14th of December, and then 11 days later we have Christmas. So this year I thought to myself, I'm going to enjoy my birthday and Christmas. So I actually went off the medication and I skipped 2 doses. I won't be doing that again. The food noise came back in about 3 days, and the hunger came back. And I thought about food from the minute I woke up till I went to sleep. And that was so distressing to me, to have those symptoms back and to be back in that mindset of eat, 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 eat. What can I eat? What can I eat? Eating crap food, and because that's what I wanted to eat. I wanted to eat crap food, chips and lollies and things. I just sort of went straight back into my bad old habits that I used to eat. I mean, most of the time I ate healthy because most of the time I was on a diet. But when I went off a diet, all bets were off. And of course, the binging and purging meant that I used to be able to eat a lot of junk food when I was younger. So yeah, that was not a good thing. And I could not wait to get back. We went down to Melbourne this year for Christmas, and I couldn't wait to get back to Sydney to take my shot, which I did the minute I walked in the door, or 10 minutes after I walked in the door. I said hi to the cat first. But after that, I just desperately wanted the feeling of the no food to be back. And this shot, I'm still thinking about food a little bit. So I'm hoping that next week's shot, I won't, be thinking about food anymore. What is it? It's Friday here now. And the next shot is tomorrow. So I suppose that's probably why I'm feeling hungry still. That makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah. Because by day 5 and 6, you should be feeling hungry again. Just after you had the shot, or 12 hours after, you shouldn't really feel like eating anything. So yeah, okay, that makes me feel a bit better. See, this time of year, everybody forgets the days, and it can be a little bit difficult. Anyway, that really is it. I'm going to sign off now. It's been 45 minutes, almost 46 minutes. So I hope that everybody has a wonderful new year. I know I will. And that everybody remains healthy and safe, and has a happy and prosperous year, both health-wise and in every other facet of your life. I'm going to concentrate on the plants and my job, and that's my goal for this year, is to be happy. I have a big job in front of me organizing my new apartment, but just being happy in myself, and I feel so much more confident at this weight. I know you shouldn't feel bad, and you shouldn't feel that weight is dragging you down, and you shouldn't be judged by your weight. But unfortunately, the world we live in means that we are. But more importantly, the mind that inhabits this body thought badly of my being overweight. And now that I've got a handle on it, I feel like I can be happy. And that's the most important thing. So, hoping that everybody else is happy as well. Sorry, this has been a bit of a rambling update, but people were asking me for an update for a while. So here it is, rambling and all as it is. I will make further updates in the future and try and do some tips and tricks for what I have experienced on these drugs. And then I also want to get back to talking about plants, which is where I started this channel. I wanted to talk about plants. And I have, in this new apartment, I have a balcony that wraps around 3 sides of the apartment, and I'm on the 11th floor. It's extremely windy, and it's not a very nice New Year's Day here. Excuse me, it's been raining. But I have lots of balcony gardening that I can do. So I want to make some videos about that. So I will start to do that as well. I'm probably not going to edit this video. I'm just going to put it up as is, because I'm not good at editing, and every time I say I need to edit something, I just don't end up putting it on. So I'm just going to put this up, and I hope that you all won't be too mad at me for rambling. And if you got to the end of this video and you actually listened to it all, thank you very much. And I will update you all in the future. Once again, have a very pleasant, happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.